I know you are. You're fuzzy and crazy looking. That's because it's dark in your room. Anyway.
All right. Who are you sharing this with?
Well, this is part of the documentation process that I want to document. So here we're having all these conversations and I'm not documenting them.
I won't sue you.
Don't sue me.
I'll just hold it against you for my zits and everything. Okay. What was I telling you? Oh,
okay, so you just tell me. Yeah. Can you just
read? I'm going to be outlining the series itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's my business this week, to actually outline the series itself as it would look over at least one season, you know, and that'll be a brief outline. I'm not talking like major detail because I only have till Wednesday. And then giving character description for at least she and the quirky best friend, or the quirky next door neighbor.
Right.
Then, who could be like a dog? Well, I don't know. I haven't quite decided how that relationship is going to play. Maybe she's got a dog and she's like, you know, can you let my dog out? I'm going to be gone tonight or whatever. And that could be the way it goes. And then Saturday, we as a writers group, as a writing room, we're going to actually be outlining what the first episode will look like.
Okay.
So what that's going to entail is breaking the story. So it'll be beginning, middle, end, you know. But what we should end up with after that meeting is at least a clear enough outline for me then to go and write a first draft of whatever the pilot episode is going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we would meet again to polish that up, give any final notes, and then start on a second episode.
Right. And then
then another writer will take that second episode. Unless they're not volunteering, and then I, of course, will then write it. But they'll all be writers on the project. They don't necessarily have to be the episode writer.
And what do you envision, like, how I can help in the process and how we're going to work together?
Well, I think that because we are sort of creating the character from the ground up, and I definitely want her to have a lot of your own influence. I mean, I think your instincts are already so good. We know who this girl is, you know, and so I absolutely trust that you get it and that you can help me develop who she's going to be. Who better to do it than the actor who's going to play it?
Good.
Is the way I think, you know.
Right.
So I think that'll be really interesting.
And would that help? Because I know you and I always are Skyping to each other, and we've already started the process of developing this character together. But what about with the other writers in the writers group? So if like you had said, maybe I should be Skyping in the writers meetings. How could I help them too, you know? This
is just brand new territory, but what might actually be helpful is as we write scenes, maybe you can read the scenes out loud so we can actually hear how it's flowing and how it's going, and really give them you know it's always more helpful when you can think of who it is that's going to be saying those words, who it is that's going to be playing that role. And so what a tremendous tool for them, which any TV show would have anyway. They'd already have a cast in place,
right?
You know, and so they'd already know, oh, Katherine Heigl is going to be saying these lines. They'd already know who that person is.
And they can, because they get to know her so well as they're writing, they kind of envision her voice, don't they?
They would envision her voice, and then if they heard your voice and saw you doing the lines, I think it does nothing but help round it out for them, you know, and I think that's tremendous. I think it's amazing.
Right.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody doing it this way before, but...
Well, I haven't had an actor sitting in England while the writers are all in Los Angeles. And
well, you know, usually, I would say traditionally, you don't invite actors into the writers' room. You don't.
Yeah.
But I would think as a tool, I wouldn't have the Skype up for the entire 3-hour session that we're writing,
No,
for 5 minutes and say, you know what, Terry, I'm going to call Terry now and see if she'll read those lines that we already sent her ahead of time.
Or discuss the character, or in this episode, or maybe I can provide some insight on some ideas about the character or something.
Absolutely, 100%.
And they can
that's
use
the
it
other
or
thing
not.
about TV is that writers usually do work in the capacity that usually a director on a film would. In television, it's the writers that have that role. Directors play a very small role. They play the role of sort of organizing the crew and blocking the actors, but it's really the writers that are working so closely with actors. As far as character development, just knowing what the intent of the scene is, what's going on. That's not a director's job on a television show.
Is there anything that you want me to be doing in the meantime in terms of developing my character? Can I be taking any ideas and running with them, practicing, and then sending you recordings or anything like that?
I thought it would be really interesting if you started to really think about what those quirks that we talked about earlier, about what a person's personality would sort of evolve into from being that solidly alone, like from not having as much social contact as you may have been used to when you had when you were younger, or when you were in school, or you have to imagine as a grown adult, a single grown adult who's not in school, who maybe doesn't have a job where they're surrounded by people. Families moved away, people have gotten married, and you're alone. And so how does that change? How does your personality evolve?
Yeah.
So I really think that would be interesting, and that's definitely where you're going to be the expert on how to research that. What is your process to find that out? I mean, I could basically ask myself a million questions and come up with stuff, but it's always
gonna have to
it's
do.
always a writer. It's always an actor's process. It's always like that's how it fleshes out.
Right.
If you watch any great television show, let's say Will and Grace or Friends, don't you notice the progression, like from the first episode to wherever they ended up in the end? The first episode, you're always kind of going, oh God, I forgot she even sounded like that. I forgot that character even looked like that. And it's because that actor has molded that character and made it their own. They have just fleshed it out, and it's just it's evolved into what we know, Will and Grace, But you watch old episodes and you're like, whoa, that's weird. Like, she had a weird voice back then.
I always think that in Sex and the City, when you first and even the filmmakers are developing their style as well, aren't they? Kind of.
Yeah, they're just getting their sea legs. They're just getting their sea legs. They're like, I read this script. I think this is, they're just finding out who this person is. It's like being introduced to someone for the first time at a party. You get to know that person, and they become your friend through time. But there's no way you know them as well the first time you meet them.
Yeah. But in a way, this kind of process gives us the time, as the writers are writing, gives me the time to really get to know this character even before the camera rolls,
Right. Maybe
which is different. Maybe we're onto something.
Right. Well, I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely an experiment.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be really interesting. It'll be really fun. And yeah.
Yay, great.
That'll be that.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.